With our fingers on the pulse of local and international maritime trade, this is Nimasa This Week. Hello and welcome. My name is Iretiola Aduel. Now, the global nature of the business of shipping dictates that any nation desirous of developing its maritime sector cannot do it in isolation. It is therefore incumbent on any serious maritime nation to seek out international partnerships in a bid to develop. It is this fact that prompted Nimasa to participate in this year's world-acclaimed International Workboat Show in New Orleans, USA. This forum afforded Nimasa the great opportunity to promote the Nigerian maritime industry to the rest of the world. Edward Osage of the PR unit of Nimasa was a member of the delegation and filed this report on our behalf.
The International Workboat Show is the largest commercial marine trade show in North America. It serves as a one-stop center for stakeholders in the marine sector to meet and advance negotiations to their benefit. Many direct negotiations with service providers and discussions on the latest advancement in vessel technology also take place. For the Nigerian Maritime Administration and Safety Agency Nimasa, the show provided a platform to sell Nigerian maritime potentials to the international market, with particular attention to the Northern American region. The Great Hall of the Montreal Convention Center in New Orleans was filled to capacity with various stakeholders. Nimasa provided the only African representation and served as a focal point for all transactions that concerned Africa. Potential stakeholders visited the Nimasa booth in droves, asking questions and expressing interest in coming to Nigeria. The Senior Special Assistant to Mr. President on Maritime Matters, Mr. Leke Oyewole, and the Chairman Board of Nimasa, retired Colonel Abu Kefas, led other board members of the agency on a tour of the convention center. During their visit to the Nimasa stand, retired Colonel Kefas expressed pleasure with the agency's participation at the 2013 edition of the International Workboat Show.
Well, we have a plan already on ground to move the agency to the next level, and we are taking it step by step in capacity building, safety, and registration, that's in terms of security of all the vessels coming and going out, and to ensure that the maritime domain is safe for business. I think we're in the right course.
The Director General of Nimasa, Mr. Ziakede Patrick Akpobolokemi, and the agency's Executive Director of Maritime Safety and Shipping Development, Captain Bala Agaba, led another delegation on tour of the convention center. The overwhelming presence of Nimasa participation at the boat show was underscored by the branding of the venue by the Nimasa logo, even as the Director General led a delegation of Nimasa officials to tour other booths at the boat show. The delegation made a stop at the Castley and Finch Company booth. The company specializes in night navigation enhancement systems, and this caught the attention of the Nimasa delegation, who had fruitful discussions with officials of the company. After about 10 minutes of discussions, Michael Conray couldn't but ask for a contact from Nimasa, and he was obliged. Gilbert Associates Incorporated and Gabriela D. Glass also played host to the Nimasa team. For an agency which has invested in capacity building via the Nigerian Seafarers Development Program, a visit to maritime academies was inevitable. The Massachusetts Maritime Academy and the Maine Maritime Academy hosted the Nimasa team. As expected, useful discussions were held, fruits of which will be manifest in the near future. Seacraft Limited, STS Group, and Safe Boats International are some of the companies the Nimasa team held brief meetings with during the tour of the convention hall. The chairman, Indigenous Ship Owners Association of Nigeria, Chief Isaac Jolakpamo, joined the Nigerian delegation as they sought international partners to grow the Nigerian maritime sector. At the booth of MT International, the Nimasa DG watched as his executive director mounted a simulator to demonstrate his prowess as a veteran master mariner. A brief meeting took place with the company representatives, and the seed for a working relationship were planted. After about 3 hours of non-stop networking and negotiations, Mr. Ziakede Patrick Akpobolokemi was frank in his submission that the time has come for Nigeria to take the lead in technical education development.
And we need to redouble our efforts. We need to invest seriously in science and technology and research, so that when we come here into events like this, we have things to show, we have inventions, technologies to demonstrate to the world. That is the message, the greatest message that can be learned from our participation in exercise like this.
He also announced that the management of Nimasa will set up a research development center to be located at the Nigerian Maritime Research Development Center in Lagos.
We are, as an agency, going to develop a research center so that tomorrow, the day after, the year after, when we are coming into events like this, we see Nigerian companies demonstrating their achievements to the world. So the research center is something that management is going to give all the attention that it deserves.
On his part, the Executive Director of Maritime Safety and Shipping Development, Captain Bala Agaba, expressed optimism that Nimasa's participation at the Workboat Show will have an enduring impact on the development of the Nigerian maritime industry.
We are a emerging nation in maritime operations, so we have a lot of avenues for investment, and that is exactly what we laid down yesterday. And we expect that from now on, they'll know exactly what we stand for, and they have an opportunity who to talk to, who can give them directions on the best way to do these things. So that's why we are here.
Nimasa's Deputy Director and Head Public Relations, Mr. Isiche Osambi, expressed the view that the brand Nimasa will in the near future become a household name across the globe.
Our stand has become the hub. We are the only exhibitors from Nigeria, precisely from Africa, in fact. So you could see a lot of people from all over Africa, and Nigeria in particular, having to anchor here to meet the people who had one or two things to do with them business-wise. Precisely, I know about people who came here and they were happy that they are getting to buy boats, or they are getting to buy parts they will use to fix their own vessels and things like that. These opportunities wouldn't have come up if we didn't come to the Workboat Show.
With its participation at the International Workboat Show, it is crystal clear that the management of Nimasa is committed to attracting foreign direct investment into the Nigerian maritime sector. Reporting for Nimasa this week, Osaji Edward from Louisiana, USA.
As is expected, Nimasa took maximum advantage of participating at the international show by making useful contacts with critical international maritime stakeholders, one of which was the President of the Port of New Orleans. Now be sure to keep a date with us next week, as we will be bringing you greater details of Nimasa's participation at the International Workboat Show in New Orleans, USA.
The Nigerian Maritime Administration and Safety Agency, Nimasa, hereby informs ship owners, seafarers, shipping agents, and the general public that the Nigerian flag state has ratified the Maritime Labour Convention 2006. The instrument of ratification was deposited at the International Labour Organization office, Geneva, Switzerland, on June 18, 2013. The agency wishes to inform the Nigerian maritime business community that the MLC 2006 is already in force globally since August 20, 2013. In the case of Nigeria, the effective date for the entry into force will be June 18, 2014 on account of the date of its registration at the office of the International Labour Organization. Before the commencement date of June 18, 2014, guidelines for compliance with the provisions of the Maritime Labour Convention 2006 will be made available to owners of vessels and operators. This will enable them present their vessels for inspection in line with Regulations 513 on Maritime Labour Certificate and Declaration of Maritime Labour Compliance. For further inquiry, please contact the Director, Maritime Labour Services Department, 3rd floor, Nigerian Maritime Administration and Safety Agency, number 4 Boma Road, Apapa, Lagos. Signed, Management.
Now, that the management of Nimasa is fully committed to implementing her mandate is not in doubt. This fact was underscored recently when the agency's Maritime Labour Department held a meeting with jetty and terminal operators here in Lagos. Our reporter Amanda Akpan was at that meeting, and here's her report.
On Wednesday, the 9th of October 2013, the Nigerian Maritime Administration and Safety Agency Nimasa held a one-day interactive meeting with the jetty and terminal operators in Nigeria. The Director of Maritime Labour Services, Mrs. Juliana Gunwa, set the tone of the meeting by reading the opening address of the Executive Director of Maritime Labour and Cabotage Services, Barrister Nwabweze Callistus Obi. In the ED's opening address, he described the meeting as crucial, considering the role terminal and jetty operators play in the export and import of cargo, which has fostered better relationship and high turnout of goods and services in and around the Nigerian port system.
Before the port concessioning, our port terminals were characterized with low productivity, decrease in cargo throughput, inefficiency, loss of revenue, unwholesome labor practices, etc. With the taking over of port operations by terminal operators, these issues have become a thing of the past. And our ports and terminals have recorded quick turnaround of vessels and high cargo throughput.
He assured the operators of the agency's will to carry out its responsibilities in accordance to the law, and the desire to meet its statutory obligations will be dependent on the level of cooperation the agency gets from the operators, who are expected to comply with the provisions of the law as regards registrations of jetty and terminals as mandated by Nimasa Act 2007.
In spite of the successes recorded, however, certain operational issues have been identified in recent times as capable of derailing the gains made so far, and if left unattended to, may bring about a drastic reduction in productivity. It is a realization of this fact that the agency convened this important meeting, which is an avenue for us to rub minds together with a view to addressing these issues and moving the industry forward.
In response to the ED's speech, the representative of the Seaport Terminal Operators, Barrister Boye Uzamat, thanked Nimasa for seeing the need for interaction between the agency and the port operators and expatiated on the value they've added to the port operating system since the inception of the port concessioning program 7 years ago.
We have added value to the port system. Anybody who takes pain to go through our ports will see that operators have invested heavily in the area of construction, human capital development, purchase of equipment, turnaround time of vessels, dwell time of cargo and vessel in the system, and the payment of statutory levies to relevant government agencies. I want to advise the agency that this kind of session should come more regularly than this.
Some operators at the end of the meeting spoke to us on their total compliance with Nimasa to ensure itch-free operations during the course of doing their jobs at the terminals.
One day interaction session we had with Nimasa today has been very useful in the operation at my terminal, specifically on the issue of the 0.5% dues paid to Steve Doring company. Yes, definitely my company would always stand on the side of everything that will make operation at the terminal a huge success.
As part of our mandate to continually update you on issues within the maritime industry, here are some of the highlights of the guidelines on the implementation of the Coastal and Inland Shipping Act, otherwise known as the Cabotage Act 2003, revised in 2007. Under the Special Register for Cabotage wholly Nigerian-owned vessels and companies eligible for registration are A. Vessels already registered in the Nigerian Ship Registry and shipping company registered in Nigeria. B. Vessel and company 100% beneficially owned by Nigerian citizens. C. Vessels crewed by Nigerian seafarers and officers. D. Vessels built in Nigeria. E. Vessel and company granted ministerial waiver on C and or D as the case may be. F. Company registered with Nimasa. Under the procedure for registration for a wholly Nigerian-owned vessel, the applicant shall fulfill the following requirements. 1. Obtain and complete a form for registration in Special Register for Cabotage Wholly Nigerian-Owned Vessel. Application form must be accompanied with Certificate of Nigerian Ship Registry, Cabotage Affidavit Form, Crew List Declaration, Application Waiver Certificates, Evidence of Payment of Fees, Certificate of Incorporation, Memorandum and Articles of Association, Certified True Copy CTC of Form CAC 7 and CAC 2, Current Tax Clearance Certificates, Evidence of Registration of Shipping Company with Nimasa. We shall continue to give you updates on the guidelines for the implementation of the Coastal and Inland Shipping Act on our program next week. For more information, visit www.nimasa.gov.ng.
Nimasa, Nigerian Maritime Administration and Safety Agency. For Ogbonge shipping registration, no. Nimasa, commercial shipping, no. Nimasa, maritime labor,
The Nigerian Maritime Administration and Safety Agency, Nimasa, the nation's maritime watchdog, established to promote maritime safety, security, commercial shipping, and regulate maritime pollution. Nimasa is well positioned and committed to take the development and standardization of Nigeria's maritime industry to greater heights. Are you interested in the local or international commercial shipping business or in seafaring and do not know what to do or how to go about it? Nimasa will guide and see you through. Sea pirates, oil thieves, and all forms of dubious and illegal business on Nigeria's maritime domain have no hiding place because Nimasa's eagle eyes will locate or catch up with you. For Nimasa, it is zero tolerance to sea pollution as all abandoned ships and wrecks on Nigeria's waterways which pose danger to sea transportation will be cleared. Nimasa, promoting safe and secure maritime environment.
In spite of our packed show this week, we still had time to go trawling through our email box to bring you questions to what we have determined to be the most frequently asked questions on our show.
Our frequently asked question for this week is, what are the advantages of seeking approval for the construction of a ship by prospective ship owners? Engineer Dominic Alim, Assistant Director Maritime Survey and Certification in Nimasa, gave us the answer to the question.
It is one thing to say, okay, I need to start to build a ship. But you need to build a ship that is going to last the time and also going to withstand the stress of the job that they are supposed to do. I've already said it is a requirement by law. That is the first thing. But beyond that, also, the ship owner and the ships to be built in Nigeria need to be able to compete with standards. And the ship owner must know that it is when a ship is built to a specific standard, because a ship, when it goes out there, is subjected to a lot of stress, both from the waves, from the load that you are carrying. And you need to build a vessel that can withstand those stress. And it's from calculation, you ensure that these vessels are strong enough and stable enough to withstand those things. And also, it also helps the ship owner because, when a plan has been approved, and you are now building as per specification, you know that vessel you are building will come out as a standard vessel which can go anywhere and operate anywhere, depending on what you want to do with the ship. So the ship owner has the advantage of having this vessel built to specification which he can know that will stand the test and stress. And when he goes out there, is going to withstand the pressures that the vessel is going to be subjected to.
The overriding desire of all indigenous stakeholders within the Nigerian maritime sector is for Nigerians to control every aspect of maritime business emanating from and probably terminating in Nigeria. Now, the buzzword in this regard is local content development. In our next feature, Chukwudi Ogana takes a critical look at this issue and the challenges we face as a nation in this regard.
The significance of the maritime industry in any country's economy cannot be overemphasized. This is because of the huge revenue-generating activities in the sector. Sadly, the Nigerian maritime industry is dominated by foreigners in the areas of ownership of vessels, affreightment of inbound and outbound goods and crew, as well as manning of vessels. This situation deprives Nigeria of huge revenue. Nigeria is faced with the major challenge of developing local content in the maritime industry. Specifically, the sector is experiencing a serious scarcity of seafarers to man Nigerian-flagged vessels. For this reason, seafarers are recruited from countries which include the Philippines, Pakistan, and even Ghana. It is on record that the Filipinos working as seafarers globally repatriate about $15 billion back to the Philippines. It is not clear how much of that money is repatriated from Nigeria, but maritime pundits are of the opinion that Filipino seafarers working in Nigerian territorial waters repatriate hundreds of millions of dollars back home to the Philippines. There is also the problem of shortage of Nigerian-owned ocean-going vessels. Nigerians are yet to fully exploit the advantage that the Cabotage Act provides to launch themselves in the global maritime business. While Nigeria has a few dockyards and dry dock facilities, they are grossly inadequate to cater for the quantum of maritime activities taking place in the country. The bulk of ship repairs are carried out in foreign countries, depriving Nigerians of meaningful employment opportunities. Thankfully, Nimasa has identified this challenge and taken concrete steps to tackle it. The agency has gone into public-private partnerships for the building of more shipyards in Nigeria. In some circles, it is thought that Nigeria's closed ship registry system mitigates against the growth of the maritime trade in Nigeria. However, the closed registry system has protected Nigeria's maritime industry from unscrupulous operators and set a high standard for maritime practice in Nigeria. In the whole of Nigeria, there is just one maritime academy for the training of seafarers. The Maritime Academy, located at Oron in Akwa Ibom State, has the necessary infrastructure and facilities to train the required manpower. But the drawback is the lack of Nigerian-owned ocean-going vessels, which makes it impossible for cadets from the academy to acquire the mandatory sea time training necessary for them to obtain the globally accepted certification as seafarers. However, the good news is that the Maritime Academy of Nigeria is making plans to purchase an ocean-going vessel for purpose of sea time training for the cadets. The government of Nigeria has taken a number of measures to ensure that Nigerians take their rightful positions in the maritime business. While Nimasa exists to advance the interest of Nigerians in maritime business, the Coastal and Inland Shipping Act 2003, otherwise known as the Cabotage Act, was enacted to protect the interest of indigenous shippers in every aspect.
Now that is our show for this week. As always, we hope we kept you educated and informed. Now please don't forget, Nimasa this week is an interactive show. We want to hear your comments, respond to your questions, and even your criticisms. All you need to do is send an email to the address currently showing on your screen. And also, don't forget to keep it a date with us next week, as we will be bringing you greater details of what went down in New Orleans in USA. But before we go, we will leave you with a tip of the iceberg as we leave you with sights and sounds coming from the International Workboat Show in New Orleans, USA.